The
Do not be
Forbidden Truth
afraid,
of
Mary.
Jesus. Dark Secrets of the Bible and the Suppressed Gospels. For 2 millennia, one figure has defined Western civilization, Jesus Christ. His story, as told in the New Testament, is presented as divine, infallible truth. But what if that story is incomplete? What if powerful institutions deliberately removed crucial texts, altering the very foundation of Christianity to serve their own agenda? Tonight, we peel back the layers of dogma to reveal the forbidden truth, the dark secrets of the Bible and the suppressed life of Jesus. The Bible you hold today is not the full story. The New Testament canon, the selection of accepted books, was fiercely debated and finalized centuries after Jesus lived. Primarily at councils like Nicaea and Laodicea. What criteria were used? Not merely divine inspiration, but political expediency. Texts that challenged emerging doctrines, emphasized a different role for women, or portrayed Jesus as a mortal teacher rather than a divine being, were deemed heretical and systematically destroyed or hidden. Consider the Gospel of Thomas, discovered intact in 1945 as part of the Nag Hammadi Library. It presents Jesus not as a divine sacrifice, but as a wisdom teacher whose teachings emphasized inner enlightenment. It contains secret sayings and lacks any mention of his miracles or crucifixion. Then there's the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, portraying her as a chief disciple with a unique understanding of Jesus' message, a direct challenge to the patriarchal church structure. These texts were not lost, they were suppressed. And what of the Gospel of Judas? It paints Judas Iscariot not as a traitor, but as the only disciple truly understanding Jesus' mission, to help him shed his mortal body. This radical reinterpretation challenges the very core of Christian redemption. These texts, now slowly re-emerging, suggest that the narrative we know was carefully constructed, filtering out any information that contradicted the evolving power structure of the church. What other versions of Jesus' life, teachings, and identity remain hidden? The official story of Jesus is meticulously controlled. From his miraculous birth to his resurrection, every detail serves a purpose within the established doctrine. But what if Jesus was a philosopher, a revolutionary, or even a political figure whose true motivations were far more complex and earthly than we're led to believe? Historical records outside the Bible are surprisingly sparse, and often contradictory. The absence of corroborating evidence for many key events in his life is a red flag for any historian. This brings us to the most controversial questions. Did Jesus marry? Did he have children? The canonical Gospels are silent, but some apocryphal texts and esoteric traditions suggest a different reality. And what about his lost years, the period between his childhood and public ministry, where the Bible provides almost no details? Was he simply a carpenter? Or was he traveling, studying ancient wisdom traditions in places like Egypt, Persia, or even India? As some accounts suggest, the missing years are a blank slate, waiting for the suppressed truth to be written. The most conspicuous gap in the canonical Bible is the lost years, the 2 decades between Jesus' childhood and his public ministry. The official account suggests he was simply a carpenter, but ancient texts and esoteric traditions tell a radically different story, that he journeyed east, seeking and mastering ancient wisdom. Evidence suggests he studied with Hindu and Buddhist monks in India, learned healing arts in Egypt, and was initiated into secretive mystic orders. This philosophy of self-realization was deliberately erased. The silence of the canonical Gospels also hides one of the most explosive historical secrets: Jesus' family life. Esoteric traditions, often linked to the Templars and the secret societies of Europe, maintain that Jesus was married to Mary Magdalene and had descendants. This isn't just about gossip, it's about doctrine. The Church needed Jesus to be celibate and purely divine to establish its priesthood and separation from the physical world. A married Jesus, with a living bloodline, the so-called Sangreal or Holy Grail, challenges the core tenet of the Church's authority. Perhaps the most profound secret concerns the crucifixion itself. The swoon theory suggests that Jesus did not die on the cross but was merely unconscious. recovering and later traveling east, perhaps to Kashmir, where ancient tombs are claimed to hold his remains. This theory is supported by observations of Roman crucifixion practices and the swiftness with which his body was removed from the cross. If Jesus survived, the entire doctrine of his divine, sacrificial resurrection collapses, and the foundation of the Christian faith shifts from divine miracle to human perseverance. Why was this truth suppressed? The early church faced a crisis of identity and survival. To unify the empire under one faith, they needed a single, powerful narrative, a divine, non-human, sacrificial savior, not a mortal philosopher with a lineage. This centralized control of the narrative was the ultimate source of the church's political and spiritual power, culminating in the establishment of the Vatican as the ultimate gatekeeper of the past. The biggest secrets are not buried in the ground, but in the most heavily fortified archive on earth. We are talking about the Vatican secret archives. Miles of hidden shelves, said to contain the forbidden Gospels, the documents proving Jesus' lineage, and correspondence that details the deliberate erasure of certain historical facts. Access is granted only to a select few, and the key documents remain unseen by the public. If the archives were fully opened, the historical Jesus might be revealed to be a figure so complex and so contrary to established doctrine that the Church's authority would crumble overnight. The truth about Jesus is the world's most closely guarded secret, held captive by the very institution built in his name. The question is no longer if the Church hid the truth, but what remains so explosive that they risk centuries of controversy to keep it buried. The suppressed Gospels and the secrets of the Vatican archives point to a figure far different than the one we worship, a man whose true teachings could revolutionize our understanding of history and spirituality. Unseen history will continue to pursue the secrets they don't want you to know.
The offshore accounts are secure then?
Yes, completely untraceable.